Hi guitarlings, I'm Gray and this is Hub Guitar. Today we're going to do the nursery rhyme Frere, Jaque on a solo fingerstyle acoustic guitar. So let's jump right in. So right at the beginning we've got a G major chord with a G in the melody. I decided to make that into a G major 7th to give it a little bit more flavor. So I've got my second finger on G, which is the 3rd fret of the big string, and I've got my pinky on F sharp, which is the 4th fret of the 4th string, and then I'm playing G in the melody. That sounds pretty tense. If your ear doesn't like that, you can just lift up that pinky and then replace that F sharp with a nice open D, and that will be fine too. So all we do is we cycle that melody up to the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, to an open 2nd string, and to an open 3rd string again. You might notice that I tend to intuitively pluck some of the other notes of the chord as I go through that, but you don't have to do that. This arrangement is intended to work right out of the box, reading it exactly as written. In measure 2 we've got an E minor. We just need to get one finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And it's nice to use your middle finger because then you can use your index and pinky to get the other 2 notes of that measure. If you use the wrong finger there, you have to kind of lift up and notes start dying. As a general rule, when you're playing solo fingerstyle guitar, you want notes to have a longer lifespan. So index finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then pinky on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And if measure 4 actually could have gone exactly the same way if we wanted, but I decided let's change that chord to C major. So I'm actually using the same 2 fingers to play that upper melody. I'm using my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string and my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And there's my little melody. Going on to measure 5. Notice that I like to keep a finger down for as long as possible. So I keep my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string for most of that measure. That tends to let the note ring longer and create a fuller and richer sound. So I've got my middle finger on the 2nd fret, and I start off with my pinky on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Open E, back to the 3rd fret. So notice that I didn't lift that up. I kept that there. And then I put my index finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then open that up. And now finally I lift up that 2nd fret to the open. And we actually have pretty much the same thing in measure 6. In fact, we could play measure 5 again, but I decided to switch up the chord again just to give us a little bit more variety. Notice that I do that again. Once I put my 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, I keep it there for almost the entire measure. And that way at the end there, you hear all those notes ringing together pretty nicely. So that's the index finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and the 3rd finger, or the ring finger, on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, with an open D. Creates kind of like a C over D, which is a kind of unusual and interesting sounding chord. And I start to lift that up before going to measure 7. So measure 7 and 8 sounds kind of reminiscent of almost every song from the 90s. And that's the ding dong ding, ding dong ding that's happening in the lyrics with a little bit of a chord progression going underneath it. And there is a repeat sign there, so you should play that 2 times total. And as with all of these nursery rhymes, you can go back and repeat the whole thing. It is very, very short at only 8 measures. And then when you're done, when you've played it for the last time, you just go straight to the last measure for the resolution. So this would be useful as a solo guitar arrangement, maybe a little bit of a filler material. You could quote this song if you were playing in the key of G, if you're doing a solo guitar set later on as you You get more advanced and now you're a gigging solo guitar musician. You can bring in some little echoes of these familiar melodies into your playing. You could play it for kids, you know. Or if you want to do a sing-along with the kids, you can play this so that they can hear the melody note. If you're playing the melody note on top, it's going to help people sing along because they're going to be able to hone in on the melody. So that's it for Frere and Jaque. Thanks for watching.